All right. Thanks for being here. Getting so close to summer solstice. And we'll just start by connecting to just an exquisitely soft, deep Ujjayi breath. Just give ourselves some moments to shift into listening mode. Allowing our senses to bring sense information to the foreground. We can smell. Our hearing. There's some degree of touch, whether that's thermal, feeling the temperature, or maybe there's a machine buzzing somewhere. You can feel those vibrations, or maybe there's a breeze. This taste. And there's our intuition, right? These are things we sense also, our inner knowing, our intuition. And we can certainly sense or attune to spirit. And if you're not sure how to attune to spirit, the first step is to note, to feel, to sense your breath. You can feel the viscosity, the coarseness or fineness, the velocity, the fluidity of our breath. And the knowingness that we're breathing with our fellow practitioners. We're breathing with them right now. We're breathing with them maybe years from now, but we are breathing together. And locate your sit bone, your tailbone, gently sink them down, giving you that bottom of the body, that ground contact and anchor that actually allows you to float the skull bones and the brain up gently away from the belly. So as you breathe into the center of heart, you can feel that breath both descend into the abdomen and the pelvis and ascend into the throat, the brain, and the crown. For our pranayama today, we'll work alternate nostril breathing. So if you're in a cross-legged position and you just need to shuffle it around or change it, you can do so. I'm going to work with my right hand. And I'm just going to count off a 5 inhale, a 15 hold, and a 10 exhale. And just as a reminder, I know there's some practitioners invisible to me today. If you're pregnant, if you think you might be, there's some special considerations, more than I'll be able to talk through right now, but I just want you to breathe from inhale to exhale. So if you're pregnant or you think you might be, you need to eliminate, or rather just keep the breath moving. Omit breath holds, right? All right. So 5, 10, 15. Oops, look, I said that backwards. Let me say that again. 5 in, 15 hold, 10 out. Okay, so I'm going to start with my right thumb over my right nostril, inhaling through the left nostril 5. Closing both, holding 15. Exhaling out the right 10. Now I leave that right side open. Inhale 5 through the right. Hold 15. And again, allow that elbow and that shoulder to relax. There's a 99% chance it can relax more. Ten out the left. All right. And we'll continue 4 more breaths, or what we would call 2 rounds. So please continue. Getting on the last round likely. Feel the skull bones as they align over the sit bones. Those bony landmarks kind of mark or cap, in a sense, the core. So we get a solid sense of 2 endpoints of our core. And inside that space, capped by those bony landmarks, crown and tailbone, note where you might be interested in softening or investigating. To me, investigating is curiosity and friendliness. When I can start to feel and regard my interior processes with curiosity and friendliness, a natural byproduct of that approach seems to be play. You know? So I don't have to try to be playful with anything that feels really serious or heavy or charged. But as I start to kind of allow for that experience, like, hey, I'm really interested in this, and I'm willing to be kind as I'm investigating and sensing this, I just seem to have this most playful approach in this inner work. And I think that's so valuable and so important. All right. And so as we're finishing that up, we'll straighten our left leg. We'll be setting up Mirachasana, right knee bent. And of course, if I know it's at the other side, if I'm correct, Brett, right? But we can open up that knee angle, and we don't have to squeeze it up. All right. Mirachasana, I'm going to be encircling my right shin with my right arm. So if you need a strap, get it near. Inhale and drawing the right arm up, the chest lifts. Exhaling, hinge forward. I'm getting that right armpit to go way past the shin. Wrap. Fingers, hands can latch together. And taking refuge in this sweetness of breath, this curious and kind approach. What might I feel? What might I find in here? Right? We agree there's an area that maybe has captured our attention. It's like, ooh, I'm willing to investigate that. So let's investigate that. Connecting to our breath. And we're venturing into this bodily wilderness, but with our breath. Our breath sets foot into these areas. And I'm pressing that right arm against the shin. So gradually, my ribs move forward as my right shoulder glides away from my neck and my ear. If I push too hard with too much contraction around my shoulder, kind of stultifies my breathing. It's like it impedes feeling the breath move and interface throughout the body. Okay. Now let's release from there. We'll come upright. We'll switch sides. So right leg straight, left leg bent. Now, feel the breath with our body. Inhale, lift, reach. Exhale, fold and circle, connect. Remember, as I encounter any hardness or stiffness or whatever the terrain, whatever the sensation, if I start to sense a problem, I just go, oh, hang on. Curiosity, kindness. I have the luxury of approaching and getting interested in what I'm feeling, kind toward what I'm feeling. Maybe this is no problem at all. And let's release. We'll inhale, we'll unwind. Okay. We will work some frog, and if you need more support for the knee, you can always put feet on wall. Okay. So let's lie back. So frog is feet off the ground, and then it was separate bent legs widely. Inhale, float the head and the shoulder blades off the ground. Exhaling, curl tailbone, which is really a byproduct of just connecting to my lower abdominals and then drawing the low belly way, way down. Good. Inhale into the abdomen, between the hips, down to the genitals. Exhale. As I connect to that low belly through the exhalation, the tailbone seems to shift. And I pull low belly way down. All right, let's do 4 more on our own. As I inhale, the pelvis and the sacrum just kind of unfurl toward the ground. And as I exhale, it's almost like a curling up, like a spiraling up of the tailbone toward my sternum. And kind of just exploring that coiling, that curling. Sometimes we can incur almost like a little hitch in that curling up. I was just watching today in the garden, our tiger lilies or daylilies are just starting to blossom. And what's super cool, of course, is like in the morning, they just slow open up. At night, they kind of recede, recoil. And so each abdominal, it's almost like a day for a lily. Just open, 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 and close, coil, empty. Open, filling the reservoir, fullness, spaciousness, exhaling, coiling, emptying, curling, rolling it up for the night. So every inhale and exhale is this movement into life, this movement toward a teeny weeny death. And of course, when you're through, we'll just hope the legs together. We'll set the feet down. I will set up bridge while we're here. I'm going to have a block nearby. There you go. There, you got it. All right. So I'm going to have the feet as if in parallel tracks. Inhale. Now, if I'm inhaling and I'm opening and my body's expanding, I can almost feel my tailbone tip away from my nose, my chest lifts toward my brain, and then on exhale, the tailbone kind of coils toward my sternum, the buttock lifts, the spine lifts, the mid-back lifts. And we're in bridge. Now, whenever you need, I'll just insert the block under the sacrum. The block can be really nice support if you have a little issue in the sacrum or in the knees. So if I'm inhaling, I can feel for that expansion, that spaciousness, that fullness as my chest lifts away from the block. And I can feel for that coiling and that emptying as I exhale. My low belly kind of draws in as if like in and away from my hip bones. That tailbone shifts slightly up away from that block. It's directionally headed toward my sternum, but of course, this pose creates little different lines of sensation and access. I would get really steady through the right foot. Sometimes I adjust my right footing. As we pick the left knee toward the chest, the foot off the ground, and the knee toward the chest, and exhaling, we'll raise left leg, lifting it. And we'll switch sides. Let's set that left foot down, taking a moment in our bridge to reconnect to our breath, to get our footing. Take a tiny little reprieve with both feet on ground. So before we switch to the other side, another way I might feel this is as I'm inhaling, I can feel breath and core kind of dilating and spreading, my body opening up. And as I'm exhaling, I can feel that return to center, that core to periphery, kind of receding, right? Kind of emptying the body out. Tide goes in, the tide goes out. Here's the other side. Our left foot feels well positioned, grounding us. Inhale, the right knee toward the chest. Exhaling, we'll lift, reaching through right leg. And inhaling, let's set that right foot down to the ground. Setting the feet out hip width, we'll press. When we lift off the block, remain in bridge. Even as you're taking the block away, remain for an extra breath. And then exit bridge with your exhalation. All right. Let's turn to a side, turn all the way onto the side. So we can press using our hands rather than a whole ton of neck muscles. I was set up for dolphin. So, with our dolphin, we'll go elbows under shoulders. Yeah, good. Forearms out in parallel, knees under hips. Now I push with the earth. Inhale. Exhaling, toes curl under, knees press off the ground. Now in these final many breaths, let's say we'll be here like 3-4 breaths. Is it possible to gently expand both the inhale, so there's a teeny bit more fullness. Not that we need fullness, but we're exploring it. We're getting interested, right? And exhaling, and now here's will be the wonderful kind of investigation, Brett, is softening internally through that entire exhalation. So just an observation, I see it a lot, this pattern of maybe it's a rushed exhalation, or maybe it's an exhalation combined with a squeeze, almost as if there's a, oh no, squeeze, or hurry up, get it done, squeeze. And so I'm wondering, taking this next breath or this last breath or two in this pose, softening, lengthening, emptying. And would gently set the knees down. Something I really appreciate about the Buddhist and the Tibetan practices is their willingness to flirt with and study death on the regular. And I think one of the places we as yogis can study death, the elegant release of ourselves, is in the exhalation, right? How elegantly can I release? How easy is it for me to just gesture and allow that breath to recede wherever it recedes? So let's try that out when we stand up. We'll try it out. We're going to work some Uddiyana. Now, just depending on your knees, we can do this from horse stance. I'm choosing horse stance. Or we can do it from a narrower stance. So again, if you have any knee issues, narrower. No knee issues, join me in horse. Do a first round, no talking, just so I can do one with you. And then I'll talk through a successive round. So if you know Uddiyana, you can join me for a first silent round. If you don't know how to do it, just you can have a watch round. All right, I think I got something for us, Brad. You want to look up here before we go into another round? So, check this out. So when we were in bridge, and I think you know what like extension means, right? It's that move, right? So that's kind of what we felt in bridge. Now, in dolphin, it was just a slight going the other way. So I was just playing in dolphin with respect to this part of my spine, just maintaining that curve or flexion, right? Extension. I let that curve of my spine right here remain, dolphin, flexion. So try this out. When we get into our stance, let me turn sideways. And we palm our thighs and we press. Let me get my hands out of the way. I suspect when we press, we're going slightly into extension. Bing. So if I treat my xiphoid, the bottom of my sternum, just like my tailbone, they look alike, they're shaped alike. I'm going to just ever so slightly shift my sternal tailbone, my xiphoid, the tip of down. Let's try that. I think that gasp thing will be a different scenario. So we've got our stance, we've got our hands on our thighs, and you might even just press in your most regular way, and you might press kind of reshaping in those two archetypes, these shape archetypes. There you go. So you got the move. Now inhale. And we'll swiftly exhale everything out, remain empty, and as we draw the belly in, I'm just going to suggest the tip of my sternum move down. Yep, that's perfect, that's perfect, that's perfect. Now you can flare your ribs, but I'm going to keep that tip of my sternum that's it, that's perfect. Chin down if you need. There you go. Cool. A little slide, just sternum ever so slightly down, just the sternum. There you go. There you go. Yeah, it feels like you're reading more into the heart and the mid-lung area. It feels like you're accessing more of this. Well, that's kind of cool. If that's, okay, we'll just take our time. We'll do one final round. Just take your time. If you don't want the final round, that's fine. Is that cool? Yeah, it appeared to me, it felt to me, and it appeared to me like you were able to read that extractive diaphragm belly move like more into this higher register of the rib cage. Well, that's cool.
Thank you.
My pleasure. We're going to set up lounge lunge. So I'm going to cushion my left knee and just set my right foot out, palm the floor with the left hand. And as I'm inhaling, I use that right arm, hug, squeeze, and turn to the right. And you can even play with it. It's a super tiny, tiny difference move here, but you could even play with that teeny tipping of the sternum. You know, it's like tucking the tailbone, but it's for the tip of the sternum. It's the, okay. Now I'm not trying to impact or jam up my diaphragm, my solar plexus. That's not quite the thing. It's just I'm moving out of that micro extension into that teeny weeny micro flexion. And then when we inhale, we'll come back around. Exhaling, let's step the right foot back, lowering from either knees or from plank all the way to the ground. I'm just going to feel for these two sides of the rib cage as we inhale into cobra. Exhaling, lower, downward dog. You know, as I'm playing with it myself, that teeny weeny shift in the middle of the spine actually does some nice things in that cobra. All right, we'll inhale the left foot forward, and I'm going to use some padding for the right knee, lounge, lunge, right palm floor, left arm leg. Okay. Now I can do this either way. There's no, I can flare my chest out a little bit, or I can kind of slightly tip my sternum in. One will bias more the front and one will bias more the back. All right, inhale, let's unwind. Exhaling, we'll step the left foot back, and we'll lower either from knees or from plank. We'll lower all the way down. Inhale, cobra. So I'm going to keep that teeny micro flexion in my mid-back, and then extend or lift the upper mid-back away from my mid-back, and my upper back away from my upper mid-back. So I'm getting pretty granular here with that rib cage area. Exhaling, lower, downward dog. All right. When we inhale the right foot forward, we'll work unlocking the shoulder. We'll go with the left side. So I got the left elbow in front of the left shoulder. Inhale from hip to heart. Exhale, draw that left shoulder down, blade down, reach elbow forward, and shift that right sit bone like you're scooching it under your lap. It's just a teeny little move, and I'm reaching that left elbow forward. Good, inhaling into that mid-back. And exhaling, I draw the shoulder down as I scooch that right sit bone kind of forward under my lap. I scooch my left elbow forward. Okay, let's take that right palm to the inner left elbow. Deep breath. And exhaling, press, turn that elbow, press that elbow into the palm, reach forward through that elbow, reach forward from that scooched under right sit bone, reach forward through your right thigh bone. And release. Inhale, hands to ground. Exhaling, step back. And we'll lower, plank to ground. Cobra. Shifting the tailbone down. Inhale. Keeping that bottom of sternum slightly scooched toward my navel, and then lifting up the whole rest of my upper back. So that's extending. Exhale, lower down, downward dog. Now let's try it in here too, Brett. I've got the downward dog. And then the teeny tiniest of ways, this too is one of those flexion moves, or I can tuck, if you will, the tip of my sternum slightly at my navel. In other words, I'm unflaring my ribs, unflaring my chest, rather. There you go. That's it. There you go. There you go. And feel how breath can reach that mid-back and the sides of the mid. Very different access than if I flare my chest in downward dog. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just little fine differences sometimes allow us to go, oh, make new connections. Oh my gosh, I'm feeling something brand new. Inhale, step the left foot forward, unlocking the shoulder in warrior two. All right, bring the right elbow up in front of right shoulder. My left knee deeply bent. Inhale. And now exhale, I'm going to scooch that left sit bone at slightly under, almost like under and forward, drawing the right shoulder down. Okay. Inhale. Exhaling that shoulder down, that blade down, reaching the elbow forward, scooching that left sit bone forward. It's a little bit more of an imaginal thing that may kickstart some novel feeling. Left palm to right elbow, deep breath. Exhaling. Pressing elbow to palm. Reaching out through that arm. Once more. And when we release, we'll inhale, setting the hands down. Exhaling, step left foot back, and we lower, plank to ground. All the way down. So, the tip of my sternum is right about here. If you're seeing this, it's right. It's like right under there where all the ribs gather. I'm going to keep this tip of sternum pointing at my navel as long as possible as I come up into this cobra. And maybe what this does is it helps me bring the arch and the movement into a higher part in my back. So I tuck my tailbone, my sternal tip, and an inhale, pull the chest forward. And start to lift the upper back away from the mid-back. Yeah, right? It's a whole new world in there. Exhaling, lower down, downward dog. All right, which means there's only one more thing for us to do. Just walk your feet to a resting standing position, because we'll set up a dolphin on the wall. This will be our ending pose. All right. Now you can do forearm balance if you want, but I'm going to take a really supported approach right now. Let's just recall, if we're setting up for dolphin on the wall, I start with my feet at least a palm width away. Knees under hips, elbows under shoulders, and then the forearms down. Okay. When you're ready, exhale the knees off the ground. And the next move is stepping 1 foot, 2 foot up on the wall. And so here, laid the tip of your sternum straight up into your lap, straight up toward your pubic bone, straight up toward your toes that you're in this forearm balance. Lead with the tip of your sternum. Tuck the sternum up. There you go. That's it. Now we'll get the tip of your sternum and the tip of your tailbone reaching up. Ooh. And try, yeah, we got some time. We're gonna do another. There you go, there it is. Tip of the sternum, there it goes, there it goes. Yes, with the tailbone, both, we'll have them both. Woo, it's like a balance or something. Were you surprised? Well, that's kind of cool. All right. So if you feel complete with that, we'll take a seat and we'll just do a final little love on the neck. Your legs can be however they want. You can do them apart and straddle. You can cross your legs. I'm going to stretch my right hand away from my right ear. If I tip my head left, it just increases that bias. Let's play a little bit more because there's actually a really cool connection from the tip of the sternum to that knobby spine bone at the base of your neck. And as you're breathing, can you feel for lifting that knobby spine bone at the base of the neck away from the tip of the tailbone? Let me say, tip of the sternum. And if someone needs the more technical, this is like where C7 and such becomes like T1. This is like where the cervical becomes the thoracic spine. And just let my chin tip centrally and downward as I switch my hand positions. Now reaching the left hand out. And I tip my head to the right. And there's something really interesting to me, at least, about this extending. This kind of, it's almost an imaginary line from the tip of my sternum to the knobby spine bone at the base of my neck, the top of my ribs. Using this line of connection and extending this line seems to prevent me from overextending my chest or overextending, compressing the back muscles, the mid-back, upper back muscles. To me, this is what allows me to breathe, helps me breathe into both the front and the back side of the body. I'm going to tip the chin centrally. You can help your head up, and let's set up for Shavasana. So any rest position that you love, take it. It's yours. And when we relinquish the Ujjayi breath, which really helps us emphasize the expansion and the fullness and the, right? Helps us get things moving and moving and moving. As we relinquish that technique, and as our breath grows quieter, maybe how we breathe when we're doing seated meditation or, right, doing a death meditation. But we can feel our breath grow very, very fine. And that fineness can be a doorway into emptiness, emptying, release. Or put more colloquially, death. And do a little study on that letting go. And you're welcome to remain here as long as you like. You can remain here for another 5 or 15 minutes or 40 minutes. If you're interested in moving, you can bend your knees. You can turn to a side. And from that side, use hands, press up. Namaste.